you might remember back when Donald Trump was president, he had a big issue with NATO. He had an issue because most of the NATO countries were not paying the 2% of their GDP and not spending it on defense. Well, now that doesn't go into like a bank account that NATO itself spends. It's each country spending that out of their budget, their yearly budgets, and spending it, on their own defenses. But he had an issue that not every country was doing that, and he kept saying things like, well, if they don't pay up, we won't defend them. Russia could do whatever the hell they wanted. He said basically if they didn't pay when these countries came calling asking for American assistance, he wouldn't honor our treaty. Well, now there's reporting out that under Joe Biden, in the 4 years Joe Biden has been president, or 3.5, we went from under 10 countries of NATO spending at least 2% of their GDP on defense to 20 or maybe slightly over 20. So he's doubled it, at least. And that's a good thing for all the NATO countries because that means they will be more prepared and better prepared should something happen. Now, how much of that is spurred on by the current war in Ukraine, I couldn't say. The fact that if that war spills out on any side out of Ukraine's borders, it would end up being an attack on a NATO nation, and Article 5 of the NATO treaty comes into play, which means an attack against one is an attack against all, and all other 32 NATO member nations would be at war with Russia. So I don't know if that is spurring on the spending or not, but we have doubled the number of NATO countries that are spending the required 2% of GDP on defense just since Joe Biden has been elected just 3.5 years ago or so. So that's good news for Joe Biden, and it's another talking point that Donald Trump promised that he was going to do when he took over, and he repeated it numerous times during his presidency that he failed to deliver on that Joe Biden did.